Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Soul and Screen. In this particular video, we are going to continue the conversation of soul ties and being able to connect them with various storylines, characters within TV shows, movies, and things like that. The particular episode that, well, not necessarily episode, but storyline that we are touching on is Tyler Perry's Sisters, and I am currently talking about the Zach, Fatima, and Karen situationship. Where I left off last week was talking about the soul tie, and again, not to minimize or say that Karen didn't have a choice to make or anything like that, but to kind of add to that sometimes when you get into relationships and you get into a relationship, whether especially if it's a toxic relationship, sometimes because of the soul tie and then the strengthening of the soul tie through sexual relations strengthens the soul tie, and it's not necessarily so easy to come out of it for everyone, which is the reason why I think Karen just had so many issues trying to come out of it, because she was just stuck on the fact that her and Zach were going to end up back in their toxic cycle. And because Zach started seeing Fatima, Fatima was the one who helped Zach break that cycle in regards to him and Karen. And so Karen, having a soul tie and still not wanting to let go of Zach, started attacking Fatima without reason or anything. And it's not to take away what she was doing. She was definitely out of pocket. It's just sometimes I think that whole art imitates a life phrase that goes forth. It's true. A lot of people are like, oh, this storyline is really unrealistic and everything. And what I would say to that is, God bless you. And, think of that as a blessing, because some people experience this. I myself have not experienced anything like that, but I've seen many women who have went through similar situations where they just could not let go of the guy, and situations did kind of turn a little toxic, and sometime vandalism was brought into it, people throwing bricks into people's car windows and things like that, all because they can't let go. And it was due to the soul tie, and not just the soul tie, but being strengthened by sexual relations outside of marriage, especially. And then them just not making wise decisions. So just like the combination of the two. So you put all of that together and you start getting people who start doing things that are irrational. It doesn't make sense. And that's what Karen was doing. So to pick up where I left off in the last episode, I stopped where Fatima and Zach run into Karen, Andy, Danny, and Sabrina in the grocery store, and it becomes they all become aware that Fatima and Zach are in kind of dating, and the conversation got out of control at that point, because they didn't get into an argument or anything like that, but Fatima was trying to explain to Karen and Andy and the other girls, because she had just kind of started getting to know the rest of the girls due to Andy introducing her, that she didn't know that Zach was Karen's ex. Now Karen the whole entire time is like me mugging Fatima and like, what's going on? And that giving her like a whole bunch of attitude, which was unwarranted, because once again Fatima did not know that Zach and Karen used to be in a relationship. Zach brought up his ex a lot in the conversations with him and Fatima, but he never mentioned Karen's name, so she would not have known that he was speaking of Karen. And so anyway, after that grocery store scene, Zach goes over and takes some money to Karen and tells her that he was paying her back because of all the money that she's invested in him over the years. She threw that in his face so often that he really wants to pay her back for the rent, past rent and things, food, all that kind of stuff. So he tells her, I'm paying you back. I owe you about 77,000. Here's 5,000. And then she starts asking him and trying to drill him about Fatima. Are you going to tell me about Fatima? Don't you think I need to know about her? And he's like, basically, no, because me and you not together. And just so you know, just because we just had sex in your office and that's all it was sex, don't mean that we getting back into our cycle. And so he leaves and he goes over to Fatima's and he tries to reconcile with Fatima. She kicks him out basically and tells him, that ain't gonna work. And then it moves on to basically the next day. At that point, Andy kind of comes to work and she has an attitude with Fatima. We need to talk and all this kind of stuff. And Fatima's trying to explain to her once again, I didn't know that Zach was Karen's ex. And so, Andy is like, you didn't, but also, do you really like Zach? And she's like, yeah, I really do like him. And so she goes, but it's over because Karen is still in love with him. And he's still in love with her, so I'm just going to end it. So you can let her know I ended it. So Andy says, fine, I'll let her know. Fast forward a little further into the day, Zach ends up showing up at Fatima's job. Now that he knows that, she works with Andy, he knows where she works. And so he goes to her job and he's trying to make up with her. And she's like, Zach, this ain't gonna work. I'm good. You need to leave. You're making me mad, all this stuff. And he's just like letting her know that he really wants to be with her. He likes her. She made him, feel like a man, and he likes that. And he's trying to apologize for what he did with Karen, having sex with Karen, and get back in good graces with Fatima. So we fast forward into, again, later on that day, and somehow all the girls end up at a pop-up wedding for Andy that Gary orchestrated. In that particular meeting, Karen, again, and Fatima have a interaction where, again, Fatima tells her, I didn't know that you were Zach. You were Zach's ex. He mentioned his ex all the time, but I didn't know it was you. And then they're outside and standing in front of a car, and then Karen is going in he ain't SHIT. She just saw her anyway. She's just really talking bad about Zach. You wouldn't be able to think that she wanted him back or anything like that. But she gives Fatima just kind of looks wow, I can't even believe you saying that. And so she asked Fatima, oh, you don't agree? And so Fatima tells her, no, basically I don't. I usually can cut a dude off, but it's something about Zach, so I like him. But, anyway, that's not how I feel about him. So she decides to leave, and she goes to her salon and she calls Zach. And now all of a sudden, she's telling Zach, I want you to come over so we can talk about us, that kind of stuff. Now, mind you, she just told Fatima that Zach ain't SHIT. He ain't nothing. She don't want him. But then after finding out that Fatima wants him, she calls him and tries to get him to come over to her salon. Zach does come over to the salon and he talks to her and he's like, what's going on? What? And she's like, we need to figure this out. And he's like, figure what out? And she's like, us. And he's like, ain't no us, we're done. And she was like, no. Zach, we got too much history and we need to just try to figure this out. And Zach just shuts her down. And he just goes, no, there's nothing to figure out. We not going to be together. And she starts bringing up, I didn't know that's how you were feeling, like I was treating you that way or that you felt that way until you came and said something, and then you just come here and you make love to me, and and he cuts her off and he's like, Karen, it don't matter, we're not gonna be together, and put a pin there. So originally she had said that they just had sex, and now she's making love. So she again is trying to get back with Zach at this point, because now she's using different terminologies, right? So Zach breaks it down. He's just like, look, we done. Fatima, she's somebody, she showed me something, and I like it, I love it. She built me up, all the stuff that she's doing make me feel like a man, and I want to be it with her, and so I'm gonna go after her with my whole heart. So me and you are done. And she just looks at him boy, please. And so she was like, oh, we done? And he's like, yeah, we done. And so you can tell by the look at her face that she, even now, he's telling her we're done. They're not arguing or anything. They're having a discussion, and he's like, we're done. And she already is looking at him she don't believe nothing that he says. So he leaves. and he goes over to Fatima's house and tries to get back with Fatima. Him and Fatima talk, and she basically tells him, like, you still in love with her, and he's like, but I've got feelings for you too. And so she basically tells him that they can have sex, but they not basically gonna be no couple, because she likes him. You know what I mean? She did ask the man to move in with her, and everything, until she found out that he had sex with Karen. So anyway, they end up having sex. And then on the other side of town, Karen, who just left Zach talking about she trying to get back with him, Aaron comes over her house and she sleeps with him. Now, with that being said, like, again, she's using Aaron. She is using Aaron as a placeholder, but she keeps trying to act like she likes him to keep him there, because she's using him just in case Zach is not going to be here, then it's okay for you to be here. So anyway, they have sex for the very first time, and it just doesn't seem like he put it down like Zach does, because you fast forward a little few episodes and things like that. Zach made some investment into a stock. He ended up hitting big time, and he went and took Karen the rest of her money. And he was like, really, like, I'm done. Just, he even told her, like, is there something you want to say? And she's like, no, what can I say? You want to come back home and let's go back and give it a try? She's like, I've done that, so we done. And so she now tells Zach that they are both in agreement that she's done. So Zach goes and he initiates a relationship with Fatima. He goes to her house and he's like, I want to be with you. It's just like, come on, let's do this. Like, and Fatima's like, I don't think you're ready. And he tells her, don't do that. Like, I know I'm ready to do this. And so I want to be with you. And so Fatima is like, okay, fine. So they end up being a couple. In this particular episode, they are now a couple. And so, they're moving on and everything. They're a couple. You go to, like, fast forward again to like another few episodes up, and Karen all of a sudden is now trying to get in contact with Zach. He gave her the money, and so now she's like, oh, he gave me the money. And so she thinking like he gave her the money, so maybe that's him. Like, now he can come back because he got some money. They all found out that he hit the jackpot on this stock and that he got money. And so now she's like trying to hunt him down. I'm going to go home and talk to Zach. And mind you, now Zach is completely off of her. He, like, him and Fatima are moving forward in their relationship. He buys his house and he's like, hey, Fatima, I want you to come look at it. I want you to see it and all this kind of stuff, and really trying to include Fatima in decisions that he's making going forward in his future. And he even tells her, like, I want to take care of you. Like, I want you to move in with me. I've always wanted to take care of the woman that take care of the woman that I'm with and everything. So I want you to move in with me. And so she's like, Zach, I think we might be moving too fast. And he's just like, whatever, I just want you to move in. So he's over there going deeper into relationship with Fatima, where Karen on the other side of the town again, she calls Zach that night, who didn't answer the phone because he's over there getting his relationship forward and with Fatima. So there's a knock on the door and Aaron comes over. Her and Aaron start talking all of a sudden, and then she gets, she kind of tells him that she gets mad a little bit, and she's like, you can go. And then he start kissing on her, and then she's like, I want you to F me, and I don't want you to make love with me. I want you to F me, because, like, she's used to Zach putting it down, right? So remember, she already had sex with Aaron, but I don't know that it was great, because she was trying to get back with Zach immediately after. So anyway, in the process of him kissing on her and everything like that, she calls out Zach's name, like real talk in the middle of them. And so he's like, did you call Zach's name? And did you call his name when we was having sex the other night? Because I thought you did. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, so Aaron is like ticked, right? He's like, I can't even believe he was thinking about him while we doing this. And he's like, you need to talk to him and don't call me no more until you figure out what you're gonna do with him. And she's like, he ain't talking to me. And so he tells her, you need to make him talk to you. So let me put a pin here also. You can't make nobody talk to you. Like, I don't understand what these people's problem is. Like, just because you feel like you need closure, no one owes you that. Now, if they give you that, great, but no one owes you closure. So Aaron trying to tell Karen to go and make Zach talk to her, just from somebody who's supposed to be a preacher and somebody who's supposed to be advising people, like he over a men's group and everything. That was not good advice, and that's just, I'm gonna leave it that there. But anyway, so the next day, Karen is hunting down Zach like big time. She's calling Andy, she's calling Danny, and she getting mad, like telling Andy she effed up because you supposed to be my girl and you won't even tell me if Zach and Fatima is together, if she talking about him or anything. And Andy's like, I'm trying to stay out of this. I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told her, which, let's put another pin there. Fatima ain't never just start rambling on about Zach to Andy. Andy is always fishing, trying to get information. So every time Fatima told Andy anything about Zach is because Andy asked. So that was not necessarily the truth. She was just appeasing Karen by letting her know that, kind of telling her that I tell y'all both the same thing, which that was not true. Anyway, moving on. So she gets mad. She finally makes Danny call Zach, and Zach is like, what you want, Karen? And she's like, I want to talk to you. And he was like, what about? We already talked. She was like, I need you to tell me that it's over. And he was like, I already did that. And she's like, no, not when you all upset and yelling and mad or nothing like that. Just tell me, I need that closure. And so he agrees to come over to Danny's house reluctantly, just because he wants Karen to leave him alone. So he does what he's supposed to do. He's in a relationship with Fatima now. So he calls and tells Fatima, like, she hunting me down, and she talking about she want to talk, and that she want me to tell her that it's over. And so I'm just going to go over and tell her it's over. And so Fatima was like, fine, if that's what you need to do. And he was like, but I'm telling you it's over. Like, we not getting back together. I should be back at the house with you in like 30 minutes after we meet. And so Fatima's like, whatever, if that's what you think you're going to do. I don't think that it's over. It's not over for her. It may be over for you, kind of thing. And so he goes over to over to Danny's house to have this conversation with Karen. While when he gets there, she's trying to manipulate him. She immediately tells him, like, I need you to tell me that you don't love me and that you don't want to be with me anymore in order for me to know that it's over. And he was like, I thought we already did that. I already told you, like, at the salon that, we done that. I was going after Fatima. And so she's like, no, not while you mad. Like I said, not while you mad and going off and while you full of passion. Just tell me right now while we having a regular conversation, which again was what he did in the salon, but apparently she need to hear it again. So he tells her, Karen, I don't want to be with you no more. And, I'm with Fatima. She goes, no. I need you to say you don't love me and you don't want to be with me anymore. And he goes, well, Karen, the truth is, I do still have love for you. I do love you. I'm just not in love with you. And so I can't tell you that I don't love you, because I do. And so she starts getting mad. And what you mean you can't tell me that? I need you to tell me that. And trying to make him say certain words, when the truth of the matter is, even if he says it, it don't mean anything, because you ain't going to believe him. So she tries to initiate again another argument, again, to try to get back into their cycle, because what is their cycle? Argue, her kick him out, argue, have sex, and he come back home. Well, he doesn't bite. So he ends up telling her he's done. You want me to tell you that I don't want you no more? I don't want to be with you no more? He does it. And he goes, so go be with the preacher. And she starts telling him, well, he does help me get through the night, and just start being mean, like trying to always lash out. And so he goes, there goes the bee. Because he's doing everything possible to make this easy on her. He's not flaunting Fatima in her face. He's not saying anything about Fatima, really. But she tried to throw Aaron in Zach's face, hoping that it would get a rise out of him and that they would have this argument, get into it, and again, get back into their cycle. Why? Because that's what the soul tie had them doing. But he didn't bite. So he leaves and he goes back to Fatima and tries to, and he leaves to go back to talk to Fatima. When he leaves, Danny comes up to Karen and tells her basically, he said it. And she's like, he didn't say it. He lying. And so she's delusional. And what I'm saying is, the soul tie, when you are in the operation of a soul tie, a demonic and toxic soul tie, nothing matters. Only what you want matters. She's not hearing Zach. He's told her multiple times. She's not hearing Danny. Danny has told her. He said it. She's not hearing anything anybody is saying. Like, everybody basically has told her, looks like Zach is moving on, but she refuses to hear it. So that's pretty much the episode. I will get into further episodes when we get on the next video. But for now, hopefully you liked it. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.